Now here we are going to discuss about the config map and secret, and that means how to store environment variables and configuration data. And again, it is very important concept how to use config map and secret. So in our case, we will be creating one directory K8s that is already we have created. In that we are going to create one directory CMS configuration map secret. We will go into that CMS directory and verify whether we are in that directory or not. Now, what is the use of config map and secrets? Config map and secrets are used for storing environment variables and configuration data to be used in Kubernetes applications. Now, config map stores the data in clear text, and secret stores the data in encrypted form. The password type of data can be stored as secrets. Remember, these objects are used for storing small amount of data. Sometimes we want to create different containers from the same image, but with the specific variable or the configuration file. That means we want the variables to be different, configuration files to be different, but same image. So there this use of this config map and secret is very helpful, and it gives us the flexibility, reduce overhead and individuality. The config map and secrets are used to inject data into the containers at start time. Now we have created the directory. So in our case, we are going to create one config map from file. So in our case, we are going to create one file cat cm simple.txt. Here we are putting four values. Key 1 is equal to v1, key 2 is equal to 2, name is equal to Vipin, city is equal to Delhi. Now how to create the config map? For that we are going to say kubectl create config map. Name of the config map is simple. You can name it anything from file, and we are going to specify the name of the file dot slash. That means in current directory, this is the name of the file. cm simple .txt is the name of the file. Now it is saying that config map simple was created. Now how to get the information about this config map? So you can run the command kubectl get config map simple. So it is showing that name is simple, data one item is there. Although we will see what is the problem when we are going to create the config map in this way. And cube or what is the other method? Kubectl get cm slash simple. This way also we are going to get the information. And if you want a little bit more information, then you can specify -o wide option. But here even specifying -o wide option, it is giving the same output. So in the case of config map, o wide is useless. So create config map simple from file present in current directory. So that we have created. Now how to view config map details? For that we are going to run this command kubectl describe config map simple. So it is saying that name is simple, namespace default, data cm simple.txt, and it is showing the data. That means we are viewing the config map detail. Now how to view the config map detail in YAML format? So in our case, we can use this command kubectl get config map simple or YAML format. It is going to show API version v1, data is this, kind of object is config map, metadata is this. Sometimes when we are creating like in this case, we were creating config map by using command, although the recommended practice is using YAML files. So what we can do, by running this command, we can get the output in YAML format, and later on we can modify for creating other YAML files. So sometimes creating your object in CLI mode is easy. Then you can convert it into YAML format, and the further config map you have to create, you can make changes on that YAML file. So now how to use this config map in a pod? So for that we are going to create one pod, cat pod test cm file. That means now we have created the config map. Now how to use that in pod? So for that we are going to create one file. We will name that file as pod test cm file. API version is v1, kind of object is pod, metadata test config map file. So we are creating one container, and the name of the container is going to be testcm. Image we are going to use is Alpine 3.10. Image poll policy is if not present. That means if the image is already present, do not pull. And we are going to run this command inside the container. That means echo pod running. That means it is going to run this, it is going to display this message, then it will sleep for 7200 seconds. That means our pod will be running for 7200 seconds. And here we are using environment from, and here we have to specify config map reference name. This is the name of our config map. Restart policy never, and termination grace period we have specified as 0, so that when we are deleting the pod, it should immediately delete the pod. It should not wait for certain time seconds. Mostly it sometimes waits for 30 seconds. So here when we are specify 0, mean immediately delete the pod when we are deleting the pod. Now with kubectl apply -f, and when we are going to specify the file, our pod will get created, and with -o wide option we can view that our pod is running, and this is our IP address that has been allocated to the pod, and it is running on worker1.example.com. Now how to view the environment variable? So what we are going to do, we will run this command kubectl execute test cm file, and we are running the command environment. Now it will run environment command inside the container. Please remember that environment is a command in Linux to view environment variable. Here file name is taken as a key, and rest of the file as a value. That means when we are displaying the value, what it is saying, this is the key. It is taking this file name as a key, and it is showing this whole different variable as a single value. Now this is not what we want. Sometimes we want individual key as environment variable. That means we want that key 1 should have the value v1, key 2 should have the value 2, name equal to weapon, and CD not it should act, file name should not act as your key. So now if we are going to look at this service command, that is default. Here we do not need this command, no need to run this command. So in our case we have view the environment variable. Now since the way we created the config map, this was not suitable, so what we are doing, we are deleting the config map by kubectl delete config map simple, and we are deleting the pod also. The problem with this approach is that it takes the name of a file as key and content of file as a value. Now we will create the config map in other way.